evening. Thank you so much for coming this evening. My name's Pam Benigno, and I'm the director of the Education Policy Center here at the Independence Institute. And we have many different centers covering many different issues. You may have seen the logos out on the wall in the main area. So this is just one of many centers. And we put out lots of our papers for you out on this table, and then in the reception area there are more papers. You're welcome to take any of those. Also, I mentioned these two organizations earlier. You're welcome to take those brochures. And our School Choice for Kids website, we have little bookmarks out on the table. Be sure you take one of those, because even if you don't have kids in school, you might have friends or family that need to have a way to find all their options in the entire state for education. And really, with online schools nowadays, that is the truth. You can go to school in districts 300-400 miles away now. So open enrollment is fantastic. And you may not realize what all we have here in Colorado, but we are not the norm across the country. We are really privileged. So thank you again for coming. I'd like to introduce our speaker tonight, Randy DeHoff, an old friend of mine.
I'm not that old. Long-time friend.
Long-time friend. Yes, I'm probably older than you. All right. So I met Randy before he was on the State Board of Education, and he's been on the state board since 1998. That's when he was elected. He's in his second and final term, final year. This man has served this is his 12th year on the State Board of Education. No pay, lots of hours, and sacrifice. Let's give him a hand for him. Yeah, he is really into it. He takes it his job with the State Board of Education, or his volunteer position, very, very seriously. Let me tell you a little bit more about Randy, though. Besides serving many, many years as the vice chair, Randy has served on several national boards too. But first, let's talk a little bit about his background. He has a BS in physics from the University of Virginia, and he served 8 years active duty as a navigator and mission commander flying P-3 patrol aircraft throughout the Pacific and Indian Oceans. I didn't know that about you, Randy. So he moved to Colorado in 1984, and he was a systems engineer, which was then Martin Marietta. And in 1991, he joined Zontech, where he served as the program manager on several successful rocket launch programs for the Ballistic Missile Defense Organization. So we always call Randy, he's truly a rocket scientist. And in February of 2005, he left aerospace to become the very first director of the Colorado Charter School Institute, which is a statewide chartering authority. And you can ask him more questions about that later if you don't understand what that means. He has 4 children. They have been educated in local public schools. They have homeschooled, public charter schools as well. The kids were and he helped found a charter school as well. Collegiate Academy. Originally SciTech. Yes, that makes sense, doesn't it? He he currently serves on, pardon?
No, 15.
15 years ago, yeah. He serves on several national boards, which I mentioned, and you're on the National Association of State Board of Educators. You're still on that state board? Or you're on the national board?
I was on their board until the end of last year. Now I'm just in a study group member.
All right. He's also, he's been appointed to a current committee that is called the Structure of Schools, Time and Technology in 21st Century Learning. Randy also was awarded the Charter Friend Award in 2002 by the Charter School League here in Colorado. So Randy, we want to thank you so much for joining us tonight and helping us understand this new thing we've been hearing for about a year or two now about 21st century learning. We're going to ask you some tough questions. All right.
I'll take my notes. Thanks, Pam, and it really is a pleasure to be here. I've done, 3 or 4 of these things over the years, and they're always a joy. I don't talk real long. I'm going to spend 10 or 15 minutes just kind of laying out the basic landscape of what we mean when we talk about 21st century learning, and then we're going to open it up for discussion and see where it goes. So that wasn't my title. I think that was Pam's title. Is this the wave of the future or just the latest fad? The answer is yes. Any questions? Depending on who you talk to, it's either or both. What do we mean when we say 21st century skills? Because that's really what's driving this whole conversation. Colorado just went through about an 18-month process of rewriting all of our content standards. And a big piece of that, and it was part of the legislation that told us to do that, was to incorporate 21st century skills. Over the last couple of years, there's come to a general consensus of what we mean when we say 21st century skills, and the way we define them in our new content standards are these 5 things: critical thinking and reasoning, information literacy, collaboration, self-direction, and invention. Creativity is another way that sometimes you see that. Now, the way we define those for each of the content areas, so math, science, social studies, English language arts, drama, varies a little bit depending on the content area. But in general, what we mean critical thinking and reasoning, can you take the content knowledge that you're learning and apply it to the real world and use it to solve problems? It's not, in fact, I think the last time I was here, we got into a big discussion about critical thinking. What if you don't have anything to think about? Which is a valid criticism of critical thinking. When in the context of 21st century learning, most of the experts, the people that are writing on this, start with the statement, you got to start with the content or there's nothing to do critical thinking about. So no, we're not saying get rid of the content and just learn how to think critically. It's being able to use that content and apply it to the real world. Information literacy, being able to find information out in the world, determine what's valid information and what's not valid, being able to use that information, being able to communicate it to others, being able to incorporate it in your content knowledge and your critical thinking. In case you haven't noticed, if you're looking for information, it's no longer going to the library and looking up the Encyclopedia Britannica or the World Book. I don't even think they publish them anymore. Knowledge of and the ability to gather information from the world and use it. Collaboration, also called teamwork. The world of work is changing, and it's in more and more careers, it's teams of people that are jointly working together to solve problems. Not even teams of people in the same room, not even teams of people in the same country. You may have somebody in Germany, somebody in China, somebody in the United States, somebody in Brazil, all on the internet together working on a project. Kids have to learn how to do that. Unfortunately, and we can talk about this more if you want, the way we do team projects in schools don't even begin to teach this skill. It's a whole lot more involved than just, okay, you 4, you're on a team and you go do this project. So what do we mean by collaboration, and how are we going to teach kids to be part of work teams in this century?